when you feel something gritty, right? It kind of it rubs on you, and so he's comparing that kind of that grit. Right? You ever see True Grit, right? Comparing that grit to this new concept in understanding behavior and character and personality. So grit, you could probably also argue that grit is some kind of extended metaphor. And then there's then you have single metaphors, and these are just like single instances of comparisons used to help explain something. Like in one of the articles that you read a couple of weeks ago, there were comparisons of some of these scientists to playing video games with their various underwater equipment. That helps kind of capture what these people are like. In the other essay in the Best American Science Writing of 2010, the essay A Life of Its Own, you can see a single instant metaphor on page 81. Pretty much that starts that paragraph. When your hard drive dies. That's explaining how DNA works to a computer in a way. When your hard drive dies, you can go to the nearest computer store, buy a new one, and swap it out. That's because it's a standard part of a machine. The entire electronics industry is based on a plug-and-play mentality. Get a transistor, plug it in, and off you go. What works in one cell phone or laptop should work in another. That is true for almost everything we build. When you go to Home Depot, you don't think about the thread size on the bolts you buy because they're all made to the same standard. And on it goes to kind of explain to us the complex stuff that synthetic biologists are actually working on. And so you don't really see that metaphor extended throughout the entire essay. It's just kind of built in right there at the beginning to help explain this new field that synthetic biologists are getting into. So that brings you to your popular science article critique that you'll be working on this week. We use metaphors to help define our natural and scientific world and explain our behaviors and attitudes. So there's a nice quote from Anne Eisenberg about pretty much everybody uses metaphors. And metaphors are very popular in public science writing because they help take these complex ideas and make it more manageable to a lay audience. So what you're going to be doing is picking one or two or three essays from the Best American Science Writing and talking about the function of metaphors in any of these essays. Identify, analyze, and explain any of these metaphors. You can find extended metaphors if you want to and write about those, or you can find a series of single metaphors and write about those. So you can choose to examine the use of different metaphors in one essay, or you can compare and contrast the use of a common metaphor shared in two or more essays. One of the most common metaphors that we're going to see is the human body, or any kind of, organism, compared to some kind of machine or piece of technology. We've seen that already right here in the essay A Life of Its Own, comparing the body comparing synthetic biology to the technology industry, and then this song by Schoolhouse Rock, also comparing the body to a piece of technology. That's a very common metaphor. So if you find that in two or more essays, you can certainly write about that metaphor, that theme that you see. And you can also compare and contrast the uses of different but related metaphors in two or more essays, or you can just focus just on one metaphor in an essay. So you've already written about grit and the sixth extinction, so you can choose any of the other ones that you want. But whatever focus that you choose, make sure you're doing a close reading of the use of metaphor. And so I have a series of questions right here to help you do this close reading. Now you're not answering the question and then answering the question. This is still in a memo essay. Actually, it's in an essay form. So make sure you do have your introduction, body, and conclusion, and then any secondary sources that you use, make sure that you reference those. And so here are just some questions to help you focus your analysis so that you don't get too off track, and help me give you some ideas to write about. What exactly is the metaphor? What is it trying to help define? Does it help? Does it hinder? Does it help explain to a lay audience why or why not? And then some things about your general responses to metaphors. Those can help you focus your analysis. And then make sure you always give examples. That's probably one of the most important things about this assignment for you to remember, is give examples. So quote. I want to see some quotes and good paraphrases from these essays. If you need a little bit more further explanation, or you want to do a little bit more further reading about metaphors in science writing, there are a couple of sources. I kind of adapted this assignment from Regina Montalcino here, so you can see some of the resources that that she's put together, and these are very good. They're a little deep, but I think they might help you, and plus they'll give you a little bit more guidance, a little more focus. Here you can look up definitions of metaphors, questions about why they're important, things like that. And so there are a lot of resources out there for you to use if you get stuck in the essay. So you'll notice that I've extended the due date to October 10th, right there. So you can take a few extra days and work on it over the weekend. And do make sure that you still submit a cover memo. And the cover memo is the same format as last week's. Same information. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? Things like that. Let's see. I think that's it. And as always, if you have a draft that you want me to look at, please send me a draft, and I will send you some comments back, hopefully in time for you to turn in your final draft. What is that? By next Monday. Okay.